Welcome back to the PulpMX Fantasy Show presented by Maxxis Tire. My name is Donnie and we are talking Seattle today as we head to the Pacific Northwest this weekend. I have 5 riders I want to pique your interest with this week, stats on the FFL, an important weather report, the race day schedule, and what my way too early team looks like. But first, let's talk about a few riders entering the fray as well as a few that are still missing this week. We were hoping to see Ferrandis and Nichols return this week, but not the case. Colt is day-to-day, but Ferrandis will need a few more weeks to recover. Poor A-Ray broke a finger in Detroit and will be out for at least a few weeks, but we do have 2 guys entering into the field, with Cole Seeley lining up in the 450 class for the first time since his retirement in 2019 for the Moto Concepts Honda squad. In addition, Carson Mumford comes back from a preseason injury, but with a new ride as he starts his fill-in stint with Pro Circuit Kawasaki, taking the spot of the injured Austin Forkner. Remember to keep your eye on the red cross icon next to riders' pictures to alert you of an injury, and check the box at the top of the riders list after qualifying to filter out the guys that didn't even put in a lap time. We'll talk weather a bit later in the video, but just a reminder as always that my recommendations are assuming that the track will at least be raceable. There is a chance for precipitation in Seattle, and that can help certain guys and hurt others, but I always try to highlight 5 guys that should be good or bad despite the weather concerns. All right. 3 guys to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap. If you're looking to gamble, 250 All-Star, Jett is the obvious answer as he has been money this season, even at a 0. But if you want to swerve that obvious pick, take a look at Styles Robertson. The Star Racing Yamaha rider sat out last round after getting banged up in a qualifying crash, and he comes in this weekend with a 5 handicap. And what do you know? His average finish is inside that with a 5 flat. In fact, his only finish outside of the top 6 was a 9th after a bad start in the season opener. As long as Styles qualifies top 10 or 11, I think he is money this weekend. The rider to maybe steer away from this weekend is going to be Pierce Brown. Pierce has podium speed, but he has trouble putting it all together for an entire main event, and with a -2 handicap, he just doesn't have room for error. He did finish 2nd in one of the Triple Crown races, but beyond that, he has no finish better than 5th. Even if he matches that 5th, he would only take home 32 points, and I think we need more upside to take a risk on a negative handicap, especially if the weather ends up being a concern in Seattle. On to your 450s, look no further than Cooper Webb. I know a 1 handicap can be scary, but the red plate holder has been so solid this year. He has yet to finish a weekend outside of the top 5, and he has been on the podium in all but 2, including being top 2 or better in 64% of individual races this season. A double eligible 450 guy to snag this weekend is Shane McElrath. The HEP Suzuki pilot had clocked 2 13ths and a 17th in his last 3 races, and for some reason his handicap went up to a 7. Sugar Shane has yet to finish a weekend outside of that top 17, with his only blemish an 18th in a Triple Crown race. That is a high floor and an even higher ceiling, knowing he has the speed and capability to finish just outside the top 10 with a good start. The high handicap hero of the round given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance to score massive points this weekend. If you're the type of person that likes to sweat out a little LCQ action for a big payout, this weekend we look to a familiar face with Mad Parts Kawasaki's Freddy Noren. Fast Freddy comes in with his lowest handicap since Houston at an 11, and as always with Freddy, there are concerns about him missing the main after some unfortunate and silly circumstance. But even if the weather stays great, Freddy showed flourish on this soft Seattle soil, and with a 1-line track predicted this weekend, a guy that gets as good of starts as Freddy can, we just need him to do the laps for big points. Just half a lap for the FFL this week, 1 rhythm, 2 90s, and a whoop section, and a bull turn before the finish means a good jump is crucial after that long start straight. 250's Jett is the obvious choice as he already has 3, but don't count out RJ in this 2-horse race to the first turn. 450 sees AC re-enter the fray with his 2nd of the year. Sexton still feels like the favorite as far as numbers go, but he just hasn't been money in the last few rounds like he was earlier in the season, and it might be best to pass altogether this week. The Pacific Northwest does what it does best this weekend with a chilly evening on the horizon and a 30 to 50% chance of rain pretty much all day on Saturday. Qualifying kicks off at 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific on Peacock. RotoMoto patrons get the enhanced cheat sheet 30 minutes earlier than the rest at 8:30 Eastern, before the basic cheat sheets are dropped on Twitter and Instagram about 1 hour before the gates do, which they will at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Before I show you my early team, I want to talk about Maxxis Tire coming on for all 17 rounds so I can deliver these videos for you. You know Maxxis Tire, you know their MX ST tire designed by the king of Supercross and my all-time favorite rider, Jeremy McElrath. It is the newest and most advanced tire in the Maxxis MX lineup, featuring an all-new tread pattern, compound, and composition to provide the stability, predictability, and traction that the upper tiers of motocross demand. Available at your local retailer and also at motosport.com. My Thursday team looks like this. I have the Jett as my all-star at a 0, Derek Kelly with a safety 2, Robbie Wageman at a 5, and boy wonder Joshua Varese with an 8. 450 side, I'm leading with Cooper Webb at the all-star spot, Big Hill Josh and his 4, Dino rebounding from Detroit with a 5, and the returning Cole Seeley at a 7. Prize for the highest championship league score in Seattle will be an autographed Pierce Brown jersey, but if you're not great at fantasy, that is okay. If you want a chance to win authentic race shoes and autographed memorabilia, consider joining me over on Patreon. For just about $1 per week, you are entered to win race shoes and autographed memorabilia, and insiders and above double their entries, as well as an exclusive podcast talking fantasy stats on every rider in the field and those enhanced cheat sheets that come out every single Saturday. Link for that in the description below. And don't forget to follow at PulpMX Fantasy and at RotoMoto on both Instagram and Twitter for injury updates as the weekend rolls on, qualifying info, and stats and banter throughout the race itself, and those fantasy cheat sheets once qualifying is done and wrapped. Thanks as always for watching the PulpMX Fantasy Show presented by Maxxis Tire. My name is Donnie, and may your chiz this weekend. Remember that 8 is great. Most importantly, have fun. Good luck, y'all.